Now, kind of the fun part of today's show so far. Um, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. We spent Thanksgiving Monday together. I spent Thanksgiving Sunday watching your team get destroyed and taking a nap, which was nice. Um, but Thanksgiving is something that's interesting because we only think about being thankful in the good times. A lot of times, even on our Instagram and things like that, we highlight, we see athletes giving thanks to God on the field, on the podium, after they made an amazing play or their team has won a big game. I know, between you and I, we've probably thanked God for wins on the basketball court and the soccer field and things like that, or staying out of foul trouble, and we're very, very quick to remember how good God is when things are going great, whether it's a season of life or on some sort of athletic field. What we struggle, and I think you can agree to this, is thanking God and overall, not just you specifically, but thanking God as when things are tough. When especially here in North America, I think that's a big challenge. When things are tough or don't go our way, or the results aren't as you expect, it's hard to say thank you, God. Um, I put down here, God is the same regardless of the circumstances. He never changes. His love never changes. It's we who need to change. So, any thoughts on that? Something that piques your curiosity? Share with us what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you handled your business with Train to Invest, I think it's the perfect um, transition into this topic in our Real Talk series here. The first things, or the thing that you kind of brought out from your Train to Invest um, commercial ad, whatever you want to call it, is this is a opportunity for not just you. You didn't say it's for you to just be so financially free so you can buy yourself a boat, a cabin in Muskoka. You said it's actually so one of the greatest joys that you've had was being able to give more. And this idea of Thanksgiving, absolutely, you're right. It's so much easier to thank God in the good times, but when you actually look at it, when you're really thankful, it's a lifestyle. It's a total of who you are. You live out Thanksgiving, and this being able to have that as a part of your lifestyle is the we call it the when you become a Christian, it's a transformational change that happens within you. It's not your own strength of saying, I'm just going to be thankful for today, even in a tough time. It's not your strength. No, it's actually God, you empowering you to be thankful even when you're in a time of suffering or whether you're in a time of mountaintop time when things are going well. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important changes that happens actually within you. I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, I think what I tie this to is there's a difference between being joyful and being happy. Being happy, it's an emotion, it's fleeting, it's temporary. Being joyful is deep down and it's everlasting. It's a decision. You decide to be joyful, regardless of your circumstances. You decide to be thankful, um, in the good and the bad. Um, and I think a lot of times people confuse thankfulness and happiness as the same kind of thing. And um, are there ways that you think maybe practically we can stay thankful even though things aren't going the way we want them to go?
Well, yeah, I think first, and I think this may be the biggest barrier for most people. It's an understanding. It's an understanding that this is a part of who you are. Like you're representing yourself, but you're standing before everyone as a representation for God in the Bible, right? It's an understanding
Hmm.
that that I, I'll say this. You hear all the time when you look at religion or specifically Christianity. We'll say there's so many
Yeah.
rules when you get to Christianity. You got to do this and that. I literally heard it on this past Sunday. There's so many rules, and I think that's the wrong mindset. It's not about rules. It's like, I was that kid where if mom's cooking, she said, "Don't touch the element." I see the element. We had one of those old school ovens, and the element goes
The
red.
old burners.
I'm
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
my full hand on that element, and I scream, and I learned pretty quick that I'm not going to do that again. The rules are. It's not actually my mom wasn't saying don't touch the oven as a rule. She was trying to teach me and have the understanding that it's not just going to keep me safe. It's actually for me to learn and grow that way. And that's kind of the lifestyle of the transformation into Christianity. And with that being said, that's what Thanksgiving. That's your lifestyle of Thanksgiving is infused in you that way. So first and foremost, I think it's an understanding that it's more than just taking a moment and being appreciative for your friend or your family member or your spouse or whatever. It's who you are going to be. And another practical thing that you can do is when you have that transformational change, is like you said, there's going to be ways that are opened up for you to put that into practice, right? And that could be supporting a cause. That could be being a friend to someone who maybe you just don't want to listen to them this evening, but you give them a call anyway. Going out of your comfort zone to think of others, to love others. That's the way what God has commanded us to do, right? Love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and the second greatest commandment is to love others, and that's what that portion is. And so there's the first understanding, and then the practical of actually following through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want to echo that point of getting into your comfort zone because, like, for those who don't know, I help the tech side of things on Sunday mornings at church in the city. And some mornings I just be like, the other guy's got it. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I had a long week. Maybe I didn't sleep so well. Maybe I stayed out too late, watched too much TV. Just like, I'll watch church online. It's okay. And or also either I could just be sad for whatever, or emotional with something else. Um, Doing the right things, even though it's routine, is important. Coming to church and getting around other believers. Like last Sunday, God was definitely in the house. Like you felt it. He was there. The worship, he was moving and through prayer and all that kind of stuff. And you don't quite get that when you sit at home and watch it on TV. Pushing yourself to do the quote unquote right things puts you into an area of, hey, you know what? So and so is um, having a hard time, and I can relate to that. And we talk about it, and you realize God's still moving regardless of the situation. Another practical thing that I like to do that I found that has worked for me is especially when I'm, down in the dumps about something or I feel like something's going against me is take a step back and be like, in the last month, can you name 5 times that God moved? And it doesn't have to be a big move. It doesn't have to be something like earth shattering, but you say, okay, you look back, okay, I found 5 things. What about the month before that? And the month before that? And all of a sudden you're thinking about, oh man, like God was faithful in so many different things that I didn't even recognize at the time, right? And it gives you that hope, it gives you that reassurance that he's not changing, right? He's eternal. It is us who is up and down and volatile. Looking back at what God has done for you gives you understand, okay, God is gonna work something out. And maybe you didn't get that promotion. Maybe you got a speeding ticket. Something happened. Maybe you got an unexpected bill. But at the end of the day, our hope isn't in our job. Our hope isn't in uh, anything earthly. It's in God. And I think you really nailed it on the head saying being thankful is almost like a mindset. It's an active decision. You're going to be like, okay, so I didn't quite get the closest parking spot, or gas went up 10 cents before I decided to fill up. Think of what you're thankful for. And especially and what really kind of triggered this for me, at least, this topic was, what's going on in the world today, right? Like talking, hearing stories about people being kidnapped or babies being beheaded kind of puts a perspective on what should I get for lunch today,
Or my Starbucks
right?
order was incorrect. Life is so
Yeah,
hard, right?
yeah. And it also, like, even things that are important to me, like getting promoted in my job or doing the right thing. Yeah, those are important, but are they life important? If I don't get the promotion in the next 6 weeks, is my life fundamentally going to change? No, it won't. That'd be disappointing, but I still have a job. I still have a car to get to work. I'm not worried about being pulled off the street because I'm a Christian and disappearing into the middle of nowhere. I'm not concerned that my brother, who's a pastor, is going to get kidnapped and end up on Al Jazeera TV. Like, I'm not saying to discount people's problems, but it's understanding. Yeah, okay, this is a tough time, but who do I put my trust in? It's not me. I'm just a dude with graying hairs in my beard who's trying to make it through here. I have a relationship with an all powerful, all knowing, all everywhere being who loves me and who who can create an entire universe where things work in perfect harmony. And he cares enough to feed the birds. He cares enough to make sure that the plants get the water. And he loves me more than that. So why is he not going to take care of me? So put into perspective, what God has done for you. Put into perspective. Um, you don't want. I don't want to say use. There's always something worse happening to somebody else. But think about, how can you reach out? How can you do better? We talked about, restarting your faith. We talked about getting involved in your church and sharing your testimony. Those are life things. Those are the things that help you remember, hey, God's on my side. And it sparks conversation. And you never know what kind of story somebody else is going to talk to you and encourage you with. So I think that's my preaching for today. But, like, being practical and thinking about how can I impact God's kingdom puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah, I love what you said about not discounting people's sufferings and their challenges. Absolutely, that's not what we're trying to say here. We're trying to say here is, what are you going to do when you're in a time of suffering or in a stormy
Yeah.
season or in a challenge? And I want to challenge you to is this is where you fall to your knees. This is where you're praying. You give it to God in prayer. And you see in Psalm 31, it talks about, it's a really authentic picture of David's life. This is where he's praying to God when he's in his suffering, and David knew what suffering meant. Like, if you look at Samuel 1 and 2, you can see David through his suffering, and he's at his best friend's house, and the best friend's father comes in and is trying to kill him, chucking spears at him. He's trying to murder him right there on the spot. And this is what David does. He goes, he finds a quiet place, and he prays. And he says, God, I
Yeah.
need you. I'm going to bring you this. I'm going to give you my challenges. I'm going to give you my hurt. And I'm going to trust in you. And every time I've done that in my life, in my experiences, I've had God come through for me over and over and over again. I hope that can be an encouragement to anyone listening today, because that's what you have to do. And and when you do that, and when you see God come through for you, don't forget to do it in the times of payday, the times of the blessing, and all those good things as
Hmm.
well.
I think the last thought that I have kind of ties into that is, God doesn't work by our rules.
Yeah.
right? We have as human beings, we have a limited concept of time, space, physics, and what can happen. And those are constructs that we just have to live in. That's our reality. However, you can't put God into a box. And there's so many times in my life where I think, okay, if this, and this happen, I'll be happy, problem solved, whatever. And I pursue that, and the result isn't what I want, doesn't come the way I want it to, and I'm disappointed. Versus when I say, okay, God, here is my issue, here's how I'm feeling, I trust you, I'm thankful, etc., and I let it be, miracles happen. And a miracle doesn't have to be something huge. It could be something small, but something out of the middle of nowhere, which I could never foresee, I could never even predict, I couldn't even think about happening, occurs. And all of a sudden, you're like, "Whoa, that just happened." So, my encouragement to everybody out there is stop thinking so hard. Get on your knees, pray, go to church. If you've only been watching online for a long time, get back in the building and see what God has in store for you.
It's good.